Contact. The Draxian High Command vessel Inevitable Dominance entered the Sol system with the silent precision that had made their species the undisputed conquerors of 23 civilizations. Commander Vexthal stood on the bridge, his scaled skin glistening under the artificial lights as he studied the blue-green planet on the main view screen. "Another primitive world ripe for subjugation," remarked Sub-Commander Zirax, her claws clicking against the metallic console. "Initial scans show they've barely left their own planet." Vexthal's four eyes narrowed. "The intelligence brief suggests otherwise. They have established colonies on their moon and neighboring planet. Their technological advancement is accelerating. That's precisely why the Ascendancy has directed us here now." "Still following the standard protocol, Commander?" asked Zirax. "Of course." Vexthal's mandibles clicked with anticipation. "Fear is universal. We demonstrate our power, select examples to make our point, and the species falls in line. It has never failed." The Draxians had perfected their method over centuries. Unlike other conquering species that relied solely on technological superiority or brute force, the Draxians understood the psychology of dominance. Fear was more efficient than destruction. Why waste resources obliterating a civilization when you could instead harness it? "Prepare the demonstration force," ordered Vexthal, "and select 3 of their orbital habitats for the initial display." On Earth, the first indication of trouble came when Mission Control lost contact with the International Space Station. Minutes later, the lunar colony went dark, followed by the Mars outpost. Global communications lit up with panic and confusion. Dr. Elena Rice, Earth's foremost xenolinguist, was pulled from her university lecture and rushed to the United Nations emergency session in New York. The auditorium was in chaos when she arrived. "We've received a transmission," General Williams informed her, his face ashen. "It's being broadcast globally on all frequencies. We need to understand what we're dealing with." The screens around the room flickered to life, revealing Vexthal's imposing figure. His voice, processed through a translation matrix, filled the room. "People of Earth, I am Commander Vexthal of the Draxian Ascendancy. Your civilization has been selected for integration into our domain. Resistance is inadvisable. To demonstrate the consequences of defiance, we have temporarily neutralized your orbital habitats. The occupants remain alive. For now." The footage shifted to show terrified astronauts and colonists, held in what appeared to be energy containment fields. "These individuals will be returned safely if you comply with our demands. Otherwise, they will serve as the first examples of the price of defiance. You have 24 of your hours to surrender control of your governing bodies to Draxian oversight. Further instructions will follow." The transmission ended, leaving the room in stunned silence. "What are we looking at, Doctor?" asked the UN Secretary General, her voice steady despite the circumstances. Elena studied her notes. "The translation matrix they're using is sophisticated. They've clearly studied our languages extensively before making contact. The term examples is concerning. It suggests they use demonstrative violence as a control tactic." Captain Marcus Chen of Global Defense Command stood up. "This is consistent with reports from the Deep Space Monitoring Array. 2 months ago, we detected emissions suggesting a civilization at Proxima Centauri had gone dark. We thought it was equipment malfunction." They'd done this before, Elena realized. Many times, judging by their confidence. "We need to buy time," said the Secretary General. "Dr. Rice, prepare a response. Be diplomatic but non-committal. Captain Chen, I want to know our options if this turns hostile." Elena crafted a message requesting clarification and expressing desire for peaceful cooperation. Privately, she knew what they were facing: predators who had evolved to recognize fear as submission. The problem was, humans didn't respond to threats the way other species might. In the vacuum of space, 3 Draxian assault ships positioned themselves around Earth's equator. Their weapon systems remained dormant but ready, a looming promise of destruction. Aboard the Inevitable Dominance, Vexthal received Earth's response with amusement. They seek to negotiate, he told his officers. All species attempt this initially. It's merely the prelude to capitulation. Should we release one habitat as a gesture of good faith? Suggested Zirax. It often accelerates the process. No, Vexthal decided. These humans require a firmer lesson. Their history suggests they respond to decisive action. Select a small, isolated settlement on the planet. We'll make our first example there. On Earth, military bases worldwide went to highest alert. Nuclear arsenals were prepared, though everyone knew such weapons would be useless against spacecraft capable of interstellar travel. Still, humanity prepared as it always had when threatened, with a mixture of fear, ingenuity, and the stubborn refusal to go quietly. In a secured bunker beneath the Pentagon, Captain Chen reviewed the limited options with his international counterparts. Conventional weapons are pointless, he admitted, but we have other assets. Project Prometheus has been developing directed energy weapons based on theoretical alien technology. They're untested, but it's something. The Chinese space program has been secretly working on shielding technology, added General Lai. It's primitive compared to what they have, but it might buy us time. Russia has automated drone swarms that could potentially disrupt their systems, offered Colonel Petrov. One by one, countries revealed classified programs and technologies they'd been developing in secret, preparing for a day they'd hoped would never come. It wasn't enough to win a war, but it was enough to show that humanity wouldn't surrender without a fight. As the 24-hour deadline approached, Elena Reyes made a discovery that changed everything. They're broadcasting on frequencies that suggest their neural systems are highly sensitive to certain wavelengths, she explained to the Emergency Council. Their entire command structure might be vulnerable to targeted electromagnetic pulses. You're suggesting we could essentially give them a migraine? Asked General Williams skeptically. I'm suggesting we could potentially incapacitate their leadership without firing a shot, Elena corrected. But we'd need to get close enough to deploy it. The council debated furiously as the clock ticked down. Send a fake surrender delegation with hidden technology. Attempt to hack their communication systems. Launch a desperate preemptive strike. In orbit, Vexthal prepared to make his example. The target was a coastal town in New Zealand, small enough that its destruction wouldn't cripple Earth's infrastructure, but large enough to send a message. Weapons locked on target, reported the tactical officer. Commence firing sequence, ordered Vexthal. Let the humans learn what happens when. The sensors blared a warning. Hundreds of small objects were suddenly rising from Earth's surface, far too many to track effectively. What is this? Demanded Vexthal. Unknown projectiles, reported the sensor officer, his voice rising with concern. They're not following ballistic trajectories. They're maneuvering. Humanity had made its first move, not with surrender, but with defiance. The Draxians were about to learn that humans didn't respond to fear the way other species did. When threatened, humans didn't cower. They fought back. And as the swarm of experimental drones surrounded the Draxian vessels, the real battle was just beginning. Resistance. The experimental drones weren't meant to destroy the Draxian ships. That would have been impossible with Earth's current technology. Instead, they served another purpose entirely: data collection. Each drone carried sophisticated sensors designed to analyze the alien vessel's defenses, communication systems, and weak points. They're scanning us, reported the Draxian tactical officer, his voice tinged with confusion. These aren't weapons. They're observation devices. Vexthal's mandibles clicked with irritation. Destroy them. They're stalling for time. The Draxian ships deployed pulse weapons, vaporizing dozens of drones in seconds. But for every drone destroyed, the remaining ones gathered more critical data, transmitting it back to Earth before their destruction. In the Pentagon war room, Captain Chen watched as the information flooded in. Their hull composition, shield frequencies, weapons systems. We're getting it all, he said, a hint of hope in his voice. Dr. Rice was right. Their communication systems operate on modulated delta waves, similar to neural pathways. "How long until we can deploy the disruptor?" asked the Secretary of Defense. "Hours, not days," Chen replied. "But we need a delivery system that can get close enough without being detected." "We have something," interjected a scientist from NASA. "The stealth orbital platform we've been developing for asteroid mining. It's designed to be invisible to conventional sensors." As Earth's military forces worked feverishly on their countermeasure, Vexthal grew impatient with humanity's lack of proper fear. "They're not responding as expected," he told the High Command during their secure transmission. "The observation devices suggest they're studying us rather than preparing to surrender." "Accelerate the process," ordered High Commander Dravex, his ancient face filling the view screen. "Implement the second phase. Make an example that cannot be ignored." Vexthal bowed his head. "As you command." The Draxian assault ship positioned over the International Solar Observatory on Hawaii's Mauna Kea fired a precision beam that vaporized the facility in seconds. Simultaneously, 2 more targets were struck: a research station in Antarctica and a communications hub in Kenya. "Transmit the ultimatum," ordered Vexthal. "They have 6 hours to surrender, or we target a major population center." On Earth, the attacks galvanized rather than cowed the population. Emergency services rushed to the affected areas, while social media exploded with a mixture of terror and defiance. Hashtags like #DoYouWillNotSurrender and #HumanityUnited trended globally. In New York, Dr. Elena Rice worked with a team of linguists and psychologists to craft a response that would buy more time. "We need to appear frightened but not broken," she explained. "They expect submission born of fear, so we give them the fear without the submission." The message they sent showed panicked government officials arguing about whether to surrender, apparently unaware their transmission was being broadcast. It was a carefully choreographed act, designed to make the Draxians believe Earth's leadership was fracturing under pressure. Vexthal watched the intercepted transmission with satisfaction. "They're breaking. Their governing consensus is collapsing." "Should we postpone the next attack?" asked Zirax. "If they're close to surrender." "No," interrupted Vexthal. "This is precisely when we must increase pressure. When they're divided and frightened, a final demonstration will push them over the edge." While the Draxians prepared their next strike, Earth launched its counterattack. The stealth platform, hastily retrofitted with the neural disruptor, detached from a commercial satellite launch that the Draxians had dismissed as non-threatening. Captain Chen, now aboard the mobile command center beneath the Pacific Ocean, watched the operation unfold. "Platform is in position," reported the mission controller. "Disruptor charged at 80% capacity." "Hold for my command," ordered Chen. He turned to the neural science team. "Are we sure this won't kill them? The last thing we need is to eliminate their command structure with no one to negotiate with." "The disruptor is calibrated to incapacitate, not kill," confirmed the lead scientist. "Think of it as an electromagnetic migraine. Debilitating but temporary." Chen nodded grimly. "That gives us the window to rescue our people and demonstrate we're not to be trifled with." The Draxian sensors detected the stealth platform too late. "Unknown object approaching," shouted the tactical officer aboard the Inevitable Dominance. "It's..." The neural disruptor activated, flooding the Draxian vessels with precisely modulated electromagnetic radiation that interfered with their neural biology. Across all 3 ships, Draxians collapsed in agony, their sophisticated nervous systems overwhelmed by signals they couldn't process. Vexthal fought to remain conscious, his 4 eyes clouding with pain. "Emergency protocols," he gasped, before succumbing to the assault. Earth's moment had arrived. Pre-positioned Special Forces teams, equipped with experimental spacesuits designed for rapid deployment, launched toward the disabled Draxian vessels. Their mission: rescue the human hostages and gather as much intelligence as possible during the window of opportunity. The boarding operation was unlike anything humanity had ever attempted. Teams breached the alien hulls using cutting technology reverse engineered from studying the drone data. Inside, they encountered disoriented and incapacitated Draxians, unable to mount effective resistance. Commander Sarah Lockhart led the team aboard the command vessel. "We've located the hostages," she reported over the secure channel. 28 survivors from the ISS and lunar colony. We're also downloading their database. You have 15 minutes before the disruptor effect begins to fade, warned Chen. Get our people and get out. The rescue teams worked with practiced efficiency, moving through the alien corridors with a mixture of awe and determination. The Draxian technology was centuries beyond Earth's capabilities, but human adaptability proved more valuable than technological superiority in these critical moments. As the teams extracted the hostages and prepared to depart, Commander Lockhart made a fateful decision. She approached the semi-conscious form of Vexaval, recognizing his rank insignia from intelligence briefings. "You're coming with us," she told the alien commander, signaling her team to secure him. "You and I are going to have a conversation about how things work around here." The extraction was completed with moments to spare. As the rescue shuttles accelerated away from the Draxian vessels, the aliens began to recover from the neural assault. What they discovered left them in disarray. Their hostages gone, portions of their database compromised, and most shocking of all, their commander missing. On Earth, the successful operation transformed the global mood from terror to cautious triumph. It wasn't a victory, not yet, but it was proof that humanity could fight back effectively. In a secure facility beneath Geneva, Alina Reyes prepared to interrogate the captured Draxian commander. The alien was secured in a chamber specially designed to contain him, the atmosphere adjusted to match his biological needs. "Do you understand why you're here?" she asked Vextal, who had regained consciousness but remained weakened. "To be your hostage," he replied, his translated voice filled with contempt. "You think this changes anything? The Ascendancy will respond with force beyond your comprehension." "Actually," Alina said calmly, "you're here to learn. You made a fundamental error in your assessment of humanity." "And what might that be?" Vextal asked with dismissive arrogance. "You thought fear would control us," she explained. "But humans don't respond to fear the way you expect. Fear doesn't paralyze us, it focuses us. When we're afraid, we don't surrender. We innovate. We cooperate. We fight." For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Vextal's alien features. Something was happening that had never occurred in previous conquests. The prey was refusing to behave like prey. And as reports reached him of an entire Draxian battle fleet entering the outer solar system, Vextal realized this conflict was about to escalate beyond anything either side had anticipated. The humans had shown unexpected strength, but would it be enough against the full might of the Draxian Ascendancy? Escalation. The Draxian battle fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system, a formation of 27 warships that dwarfed the initial invasion force. High Commander Dravex himself led the Armada aboard the dreadnought Inescapable Verdict. "Status report," Dravex demanded, his ancient scales bearing the ceremonial scars of dozens of successful conquests. "We've established communication with Sub-Commander Zirax," reported his aide. "Commander Vextal has been captured by the humans. They've also retrieved their hostages and compromised our databases." Dravex's inner eyelids closed momentarily, the Draxian equivalent of a contemplative blink. Interesting. The preliminary intelligence clearly underestimated these creatures. "Shall we commence planetary bombardment?" asked the fleet tactician. "Standard protocol for species that resist integration is to destroy 30% of habitable landmass." "No," Dravex decided. "This situation requires a more nuanced approach. These humans have demonstrated capabilities beyond our expectations. I want to understand what we're facing before committing to full subjugation protocols." On Earth, the detection of the Draxian battle fleet triggered a new wave of preparation. The brief victory celebration gave way to grim determination as humanity realized the true scale of the threat they now faced. In Washington, D.C., World leaders convened an unprecedented unified command structure, temporarily setting aside centuries of rivalries and conflicts in the face of extinction. "We have 3 days before the main fleet reaches Earth orbit," Captain Chen informed the assembly. "Our successful operation against the advance force bought us valuable intelligence and time. But make no mistake, what's coming is orders of magnitude more powerful." "What about their commander?" asked the Chinese president. "Can we use him as leverage?" Dr. Elena Reyes stepped forward. "I spent 48 hours interrogating Vexthal. The Draxians don't value individual lives the way we do. Even their commanders are considered expendable if necessary. However, I've learned something crucial about their psychology and history." She activated a holographic display showing anatomical scans of Vexthal. The Draxians evolved as apex predators on a highly competitive world. Their entire society is structured around dominance hierarchies maintained through demonstrations of power. They conquered 23 other civilizations using essentially the same playbook: shock, fear, partial destruction, then submission. "So what makes us different?" asked the Russian president. "We're predators too," Elena explained. "Most sentient species they've encountered evolved as prey animals with instinctual flight responses to threats. Humans are unusual. We evolved as persistence hunters with complex social structures. When threatened, we band together. We pursue. We outlast." Captain Chen nodded in agreement. "That's why our rescue operation was so disorienting to them. Prey isn't supposed to counterattack." The discussions continued around the clock, with every nation contributing their technologies and resources to a unified defense strategy. Private corporations opened their R&D vaults, revealing technologies previously hidden from competitors or governments. Scientists worked without sleep to integrate these disparate systems into something that might give humanity a fighting chance. Meanwhile, Commander Sarah Lockhart led a different kind of preparation. The data stolen from the Draxian ships had included detailed technical specifications of their vessels. Their propulsion systems rely on concentrated dark energy manipulation, she explained to her international team of pilots. This creates a detectable gravimetric signature before weapons discharge. It's a small window, less than 3 seconds, but it's enough for evasive maneuvers if you're watching for it. "How do we hurt them?" asked a Brazilian fighter pilot. "Our most powerful weapons barely scratch their advanced ships. We don't try to destroy their vessels directly," Sarah replied. "We target these nodes." She highlighted specific points on the Draxian ship schematics. They're external sensor arrays that coordinate their defensive screens. Take out enough of them, and sections of their shields will falter. Across the globe, similar briefings were taking place. Infantry commanders studied Draxian ground combat techniques. Cyber warfare experts analyzed the alien computer systems. Medical teams prepared to treat injuries from weapons never before seen on Earth. In orbit, the International Space Force, a hastily assembled coalition of astronauts, cosmonauts, and takenauts, prepared the orbital defense platforms that had been secretly developed by various nations and now integrated into a unified system. 3 days passed in this fevered preparation. When the Draxian battle fleet finally took up position around Earth, humanity was as ready as it could be. High Commander Dravex opened communications with a message broadcast globally. "People of Earth, your resistance has been noted and judged unacceptable. You have damaged Draxian property, abducted Draxian personnel, and defied lawful integration into the Ascendancy. The punishment for these transgressions is severe, but I am authorized to offer mercy." The message continued, outlining terms of surrender that amounted to complete subjugation. Earth would be stripped of resources, its population reduced to servitude, its governments replaced by Draxian overseers. The United Nations Security Council delivered humanity's response. It was brief. "We decline your offer and propose an alternative. Leave our system now, return our people from your other conquests, and we will not be forced to demonstrate the full consequence of threatening humanity." Aboard the inescapable verdict, Dravex received the message with genuine surprise. "They're threatening us. With what conceivable means? Unknown, High Commander, admitted his intelligence officer. But preliminary scans detect unusual activity in their orbital infrastructure and significant energy signatures from their planetary surface. Begin the first wave, ordered Dravex. Target their largest military installations. Let's remind them of the reality of their situation. 5 Draxian warships moved into attack position. As they charged their main weapons, Earth made its move. The orbital defense platforms activated simultaneously, projecting a web of intersecting energy beams precisely targeting the sensor nodes identified from the stolen data. On the ground, massive electromagnetic pulse generators powered up, their designs based on the neural disruptor, but scaled to devastating proportions. Anomalous energy readings from the planet, shouted the Draxian sensor officer. There. The combined EMPs struck the attacking warships, overloading their systems and creating cascading failures throughout their neural integrated technology. Simultaneously, swarms of autonomous drones, thousands of them, launched from hidden facilities around the globe, each programmed to target specific vulnerabilities in the Draxian vessels. The first wave of the Draxian attack faltered before it began. 2 warships lost power completely, drifting helplessly. A third spun out of control, its navigation systems corrupted by the electromagnetic assault. The remaining 2 managed to maintain basic operations, but were surrounded by the relentless drone swarms that breached their hulls through maintenance ports and thermal exhaust channels. Dravex watched in disbelief as his initial attack force was neutralized without firing a single effective shot. "Impossible," he whispered. "High Commander," reported his tactical officer urgently. "We're detecting launches from the planet's surface. Thousands of them." Earth's combined air forces rose to meet the Draxian fleet, fighters, bombers, and experimental aircraft from every nation, all retrofitted with technologies derived from the captured Draxian data. They weren't powerful enough to destroy the alien vessels outright, but they didn't need to be. Their job was simply to maintain pressure and distraction, while the next phase of humanity's defense unfolded. From secure bunkers deep beneath the surface, Alina Rice sent a transmission directly to Dravex. "High Commander, perhaps now is a good time to discuss more reasonable terms." "You dare," Dravex snarled. "This temporary advantage will not save you. I have 20 more warships that can reduce your civilization to ash." "Perhaps," Alina acknowledged. "But you might want to check on your supply vessels first." Dravex's attention snapped to the rear of his formation, where the support ships carrying fuel, ammunition, and provisions for the extended campaign were positioned. What he saw made his blood run cold. The ships were surrounded by what appeared to be civilian vessels, hundreds of them, from small private spacecraft to repurposed cargo haulers. Before he could order countermeasures, these ships detonated in coordinated sequence, having been packed with experimental antimatter charges, a technology the Draxians had thought beyond human capabilities. The resulting chain reaction tore through the vulnerable supply vessels. The Draxian battle fleet, poised for a lengthy conquest, suddenly found itself without the resources for extended operations. This was not in any prediction model," stammered the Draxian strategic analyst. "No species has ever coordinated resistance on this scale. Their technologies are individually inferior, but the integration and tactical application is unprecedented." Dravex's 4 eyes narrowed as he reassessed the situation. For the first time in his long career of conquest, he faced a species that refused to follow the expected pattern of behavior. These humans didn't fight like prey animals desperately resisting the inevitable. They fought like predators defending their territory, with cunning, coordination, and a surprising willingness to sacrifice. "All ships, regroup and prepare for concentrated assault," he ordered. "We will not be humiliated by primitives." But as the Draxian fleet attempted to reorganize, Earth unleashed its final surprise. From hidden bases on the far side of the moon, massive rail guns, constructed in secret through an international effort, opened fire. These weapons, using captured Draxian power sources, launched projectiles at velocities approaching a significant fraction of light speed. The kinetic impact was devastating. 3 more Draxian warships were crippled in the first volley, their shields designed to repel energy weapons, not physical objects moving at relativistic speeds. The battle continued for hours, with the Draxians struggling to adapt to human tactics that constantly shifted and evolved. When they adjusted their shields to counter the railguns, humans switched to electromagnetic warfare. When they hardened their systems against EMP, humans deployed engineered viruses that infected their neural computer interfaces. By the 4th hour of combat, the most powerful invasion force the Draxian Ascendancy had ever deployed was in disarray. 7 ships destroyed, 9 crippled, the remainder damaged and low on supplies. In the secure facility beneath Geneva, Elena Rice brought Vexthal to witness the battle through secure feeds. "Do you understand now?" she asked the captured commander. Vexthal watched silently as his species' vaunted military might crumble before human ingenuity and determination. "You should have been easy to conquer," he said finally. "Your technology is primitive. Your world divided. By all logical assessment, you should have surrendered at the first demonstration of our power." "That's where you made your mistake," Elena explained. "You judged us by your standards. You thought fear would control us. But fear doesn't work on humans the way you expected. It unites us. Throughout our history, we've been at our most dangerous when threatened." As the battle above reached its turning point, High Commander Dravex faced a decision no Draxian conquest leader had ever confronted: whether to retreat. Reckoning. High Commander Dravex stood motionless on the command deck of the inescapable verdict, his inner eyelids rapidly blinking as he processed the unthinkable: defeat. Around him, his officers waited in tense silence, their rigid hierarchy providing no protocol for this unprecedented situation. High Commander ventured his second-in-command tentatively. "We must make a decision. Our remaining combat-capable vessels are down to 30% power reserves. The humans continue to adapt their tactics faster than our defense systems can compensate." Dravex turned his ancient, scarred face toward the tactical display. The human counterattack had been unlike anything encountered in thousands of years of Draxian military history. Not because of superior technology. Human weapons were still primitive by comparison, but because of their unpredictable, continuously evolving strategy and their seemingly limitless capacity for sacrifice. "Open a channel to their leadership," Dravex ordered, his voice, carrying the weight of centuries of conquest, now brought to a standstill. On Earth, the unified command center beneath the Swiss Alps erupted in cautious celebration as the Draxian communication request came through. "They're asking to negotiate," reported the communications officer, disbelief evident in her voice. Captain Chen and Dr. Rice exchanged glances. "Bring in their commander," Chen ordered. "Let's make sure they understand exactly what they're negotiating." Vexthal was escorted into the command center, his restraints designed to allow movement while preventing any aggressive action. Despite his captivity, he maintained the rigid posture of Draxian nobility. The main screen activated, displaying High Commander Dravex. The ancient Draxian's eyes widened slightly at the sight of Vexthal standing among the humans. "Commander," Dravex acknowledged, "I see you have been accommodated by our opponents." "I have been treated according to their customs of war," Vexthal replied carefully. "These humans are not what our intelligence suggested." Elena stepped forward. "High Commander, I am Dr. Elena Reyes, speaking on behalf of Earth's Unified Defense Council. Your fleet is crippled, your supply lines severed. We are prepared to continue until none of your vessels remain functional. And yet you have not destroyed us when you had the opportunity," observed Dravex. "Curious." "We don't seek your destruction," Elena explained. "We seek recognition and respect. Your species has conquered 23 civilizations through fear and intimidation. That ends today, beginning with Earth. You propose terms?" Dravex asked, mandibles clicking in what might have been amusement or irritation. "We do," confirmed Captain Chen, stepping beside Elena. "First, the immediate withdrawal of all Draxian forces from the Sol system. Second, the release of representatives from all subjugated species to discuss their future status. Third, recognition of Earth and human colonies as sovereign territory never to be threatened again. And if we refuse? Dravex challenged. Chen nodded to a technical officer, who activated a secondary display. It showed the moon's far side, where a massive installation had been uncovered. A weapon system far larger than anything previously revealed. This is Project Prometheus, Chen explained. A directed energy weapon powered by our sun's output, channeled through quantum entanglement technology. We developed the theoretical basis decades ago, but lacked the power source to make it viable. Your ships provided the missing component. You're bluffing, Dravex said, but uncertainty tinged his translated voice. We've demonstrated repeatedly that we were prepared for this encounter, Elena replied calmly. We studied your species through Vexthal. We know the Draxian ascendancy maintains control through the perception of invincibility. That perception ends today, one way or another. To prove the point, the Prometheus weapon powered up, its targeting systems locking onto the inescapable verdict. The energy readings were unmistakable. Even at partial charge, it could vaporize the Draxian flagship. Dravex's inner eyelids flickered rapidly as he consulted with his advisors off-screen. Finally, he turned back to the humans. The Draxian ascendancy has existed for 10,000 years, he said slowly. In that time, we have encountered hundreds of species. None have resisted successfully. None have demonstrated your particular qualities. Is that a yes to our terms? Pressed Chen. It is, an acknowledgement of the current tactical reality. Dravex replied carefully. We will withdraw from your system and convene a council to address the status of integrated territories and recognition of human sovereignty. Elena insisted. Dravex's mandibles clicked once. Granted. The Draxian ascendancy recognizes Earth and its colonies as sovereign and independent. The command center remained silent, the magnitude of the moment settling over everyone present. Humanity had not only survived first contact with a hostile alien civilization, but had forced terms on a galaxy-spanning empire. We will begin our withdrawal within your solar day, Dravex continued. I request the return of Commander Vexthal as a gesture of good faith. Elena looked to Vexthal, who had remained silent throughout the exchange. Commander Vexthal has been cooperative and provided valuable cultural insights. He will be returned to you unharmed, with one condition. Stated, said Dravex. He remains as ambassador to Earth, to ensure ongoing diplomatic relations between our peoples. Dravex considered this for a moment. Acceptable. Vexthal's experience with your species makes him uniquely qualified. The negotiations continued for several hours, addressing practical matters of withdrawal timelines and communication protocols. When the channel finally closed, the command center erupted in celebration, not the raucous joy of total